Hi. So, to those of you that follow me, I had decided that I was going to talk about more than the weather, even though my last video was about the weather. I was looking at this weird, wild world about a compulsive hoarder who gets the help he needs, and I watched this video because I am a little bit of a hoarder and I need help sometimes. So, I listened to the video, and I'll put the link for this below. So, I found this article on WiseGeek. What is the opposite of hoarding? The link for this will be below. The opposite of hoarding might be obsessive-compulsive Spartanism. This term seems to have developed on the internet to describe people who habitually throw possessions out or give them away. Evidence about obsessive decluttering is largely... Oh, I just had that word in my mind and now I can't think of it. Anecdotal. As the name implies, this decluttering behavior may be obsessive-compulsive. But as of 2011, the American Psychiatric Association, which we all know is like, the Bible, excuse me, has not declared it a psychiatric disorder. Hoarding, however, may soon, but it isn't yet, be acknowledged as a psychiatric disorder and is characterized as an obsessive-compulsive disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, number 5. Many people enjoy sifting through old items in the attic, garage, basement, and having a yard sale to earn a little cash. Discarding old possessions can often create a sense of satisfaction. People who habitually throw away things out bring a new definition to the term neat freak. Obsessive-compulsive Spartanism describes a syndrome in which people feel compelled to rid themselves of belongings. So, according to this article, and I don't know why that shows up, is an example of hoarding, which just looks really to me like a messy teenage room. And this is an example of obsessive-compulsive Spartanism. So anyway, it kind of cracked me up because apparently if you have either one of these, you're considered there's something wrong with you. So don't keep too much, but don't throw away too much. Because then you're a compulsive declutterer and you enjoy throwing things away. That's a problem. And just in case you have any of these problems, you could respond well to cognitive behavioral therapy. This is a whole website that looks like it's for OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. And here is an article about decluttering and talking about how hoarding has gotten a lot of attention, but not decluttering. And if we go down here, there's a little bit. As with most behaviors, it's all about the degree of severity. Like to throw things away and keep an uncluttered house because it makes you feel better, that's fine. But when discarding things directly affects your life, as it does for this woman in this article who keeps throwing out her food processor only to have to go out and buy a new one, it's a real problem. In this case, getting rid of things has become a part of an obsessive compulsive behavior. Unfortunately, many people, including some therapists, might not recognize the issue of obsessive decluttering as a legitimate problem, while hoarding looks abnormal, an uncluttered clean house does not. Huh. So, in a way, this is saying that anybody that you see could have a problem. In this little article that I found here, the hospital movement started in the 18th century and was justified by reasons such as to protect society from the insane and the insane from harm, to cure those amenable to treatment, and to improve the lives of the incurable, and to fulfill the humanitarian duty of caring for the insane, along with the creation of state psychiatric hospitals, various organizations and acts such as Mental Health America and the U.S. Community Mental Health Centers Acts of 1963 were created to improve the lives of the mentally ill in the United States. With reforms came increase in psychoanalysis. And it goes on to say a lot more. I'm going to go up to the top to show you what it is from all the way up here. Look at that. The Beautiful Mind, the History of the Treatment of Mental Illness. This is under History Cooperative, a short history of nearly everything. And let's see, who is this written by? Hold on a moment. At the bottom it just says written by History Cooperative. The History Cooperative is a collective of history buffs, interested authors, and dedicated technical staff who share a love of history. I'm just going to go down on this article a little. You always hear when they're talking about mental illness that in ancient world cultures, a well-known belief was that mental illness was the result of supernatural phenomena. This included phenomena from demonic possession to sorcery and the evil eye. The most commonly believed cause, demonic possession, was treated by chipping a hole or trephany into the skull of the patient, by which the evil spirits would be released, therefore healing the patient. Although ancient Persians also believed that the illnesses were caused by demons, they practiced precautionary measures such as personal hygiene and purity of the mind and body in order to prevent and protect from those diseases. Similarly, the Egyptians recommended that those stricken with mental illness should participate in recreational activities in order to relieve the symptoms, which displayed that, as a civilization, the Egyptians were very advanced in their treatment of mental handicaps. And then, during the 5th and 3rd centuries, the Greeks changed the way psychological disorders were viewed. The philosopher and physician Hippocrates discovered that illnesses come from natural occurrences in the body. It says he stepped away from the superstitious belief towards the mental aspect of it, and he studied the pathology of the brain and suggested that mental illnesses stemmed from imbalances in the body. Now, I do want to say that this is what I read to you above there about the history of ancient humans is really not complete in any way at all. And I'm sure that our modern doctors would like us to believe that, some of them anyway. But let's just look at something else for a minute. The link for this will be below, and this is Dr. McCullough, one of my favorite doctors, who tries to work with actual health instead of just taking medicine. Interviews William Walsh, Nutrient Power, Heal Your Biochemistry, and Heal Your Brain. I'm not going to play that for you. The link's below so you can look it up if you're interested. We're going to go down here a little bit. Story at a glance. There are 4 biochemical types of violent people. Many have severe zinc deficiency, pyrrole disorder, low spermine, and methyllantin defects, an unusual combination of bad biochemistry. While there are hundreds of nutrients that are important for health, in the brain 6 or 7 dominate. These are nutrients that are either involved in synthesis or functioning of neurotransmitters. Nutrients that have a powerful influence on mental health include zinc, copper, B6, selenium, folates, and S-endostromethylamine, or SAMe. So what they're saying is that in order to have our brain work right, or our body, we have to have chemicals and vitamins and minerals, which is basically why we eat. But if our food doesn't give us that stuff, or if somehow our bodies have a problem processing it, then we're not going to work right, which is a simple idea. If you put water in your gas tank, your car's not going to run right, is my best way to explain it. So I'm going to go down here a little bit where they found out that a lot of people that have criminal problems, um, their levels of um, metals, including copper, zinc, and magnesium, were all abnormal compared to the general population. And they discovered these chemical types in people that were violent of having severe zinc deficiency, all the stuff right here. And that's something that can be fixed rather than throwing somebody in jail, actually, or um, killing them. And they're talking about low levels of B6 and zinc, which have serious effects on brain function, memory, ability to read. And they're talking about even with children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So what they found was that when they studied adults that had criminal behavior and tried to help them with their um, with vitamins or nutrients, that some of them, then you'd find out that a lot were back in prison because a lot of them began abusing alcohol or illegal drugs after they were out of prison, and so then they decided to focus on children. If we get to a child before their lives are ruined, before they pass puberty, our success rate is very high. So then they're talking about instead of using antipsychotic medications, even giving them vitamins and minerals to supplement um, for what their body actually needs, and then their mental illness will be gone. So this is a very interesting article. Copper overload linked to autism, schizophrenia, and postpartum depression. And I would recommend anybody to read it if you're interested in looking into it more, if you're interested in yourself or anybody else. And as long as we're talking about that, this is an article about how vitamin C and K3 is changing the way cancer is treated. And I would also suggest anybody looking this up if you're curious about it. It says, before we can get into how the specific combination of vitamin CK3 kills cancer, we must first get a better understanding of cancer cells. But you can read all about it here. Okay? Okay, so I was laughing because I do think that there are plenty of psychiatric ideas that are crazy in themselves, and people get hung up on them. But I do also know that there are people that sometimes like fall into a hole, I'll say, mentally, and aren't very happy and are having a hard time getting out of it. And this article, The Shamanic View of Mental Illness, says Jason, November 19th, 2010, is superior. And he's reprinting this, or she is reprinting it from an email they received from this person, a West African shaman. And I'm just going to go down here really kind of fast because my time is running out, but The Shamanic View of Mental Illness by Stephanie Maroon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not. In the shamanic view, mental illness signals the birth of a healer. Thus, mental disorders are spiritual emergencies, spiritual crises, and need to be regarded as such to aid the healer in being born. What those in the West view as mental illness, the Dagara people regard as good news from the other world. The person going through the crisis has been chosen as a medium for a message to the community that needs to be communicated from the spirit realm. Mental disorder, behavioral disorder of all kinds, signal the fact that two obviously incompatible emergencies have merged into the same field, says Dr. Somey. These disturbances result when the person does not get assistance in dealing with the presence of the energy from the spirit realm. And I think just that idea is like a total different idea than the Western world, and I think you should read this if you're curious at all. I'm grateful for you, and I'm here at your service.